Why did Japan attack the United States? After World War I, Japan had been our ally. But when Japan attempted to take their cut of profit made from winning the war, America had refused. This infuriated Japan, as well as when the British had ended their 20-year-long alliance just to appease America. Japan, now feeling isolated, ends up having a 4-year war with China and now controlled the coastal cities in China, but not the interior. Starting in 1937, Japan was now on a race to control as much land and resources as they could. Once the United States imposed oil sanctions on Japan due to the invasion of China, Japan had officially entered World War II with an attack on Pearl Harbor. Okinawa was the last battle in the war on the Pacific, and during the battle, many new strategies were implemented. Japan notably had the home advantage and used the strategy of burying themselves underground, which made tunnels that were wide enough for heavy artillery. This strategy gave Japan a huge advantage as they could not be seen while they sniped and ambushed the oncoming unsuspecting American troops. This proved effective until the Japanese had underestimated the ability of American hand-to-hand combat. They were ultimately overpowered. Also, although Japanese kamikaze suicide pilots were not the most effective, they were Japan's most ruthless weapon. On April 4th, Japan released this weapon for the first time on the Fifth Fleet. The kamikaze suicide pilots caused 36 sunken ships, 368 damaged ships, 4,900 men killed or drowned, 4,800 men wounded, and 763 lost aircraft to the Americans. These kamikaze pilots aided greatly in slowing down the oncoming invasion of the American troops. An effective strategy that American troops had used was the plan to sever the bases for Japanese defenses. American troops trekked to the southern end of the island where Okinawa's major cities and ports were located. Their objective was to cut the Japanese army in half and seclude the southern end of the island, while conquering the capital city of Naha. They completed and succeeded in their mission by mainly moving along with the tanks. This strategy brought the war closer to an end. By August of 1945, there had already been thousands of casualties on both sides of the battle. To finally end the war and to rid all Japanese hope of winning, America thought of a compromise to the solution. The answer was to drop the atomic bombs. The American president, Harry S. Truman, was warned by some of his advisors that any attempt to further invade Japan would end in even more horrific American casualties. So on August 6, 1945, the decision was made, and the American bomber Enola Gay dropped the 5-ton bomb over Hiroshima. This immediately killed over 80,000 people and thousands more during the following weeks from radiation poisoning and wounds. 3 days later, another bomb was dropped in Nagasaki, this time killing 40,000. This detrimental blast on Japan had been successful in bringing an end to Japan's fighting because a few days later they announced their surrender. Towards the end of the battle, Japanese troops and citizens believed that Americans took no prisoners and that they'd be killed upon capture. As a result, many took their own lives. Many had adopted a suicide or surrender mentality, but because many feared of dying either way, many committed suicide. Some jumped from high heels, while others blew themselves up with grenades. Both sides suffered enormous losses in the battle. America left with over 49,000 casualties, including 12,520 killed, while Japan had suffered around 110,000 Japanese soldiers killed and around 40,000 to 150,000 citizens as well. After the war, American military government provided the citizens with food, clothes, and medicine. They established schools, orphanages, and clinics. They also organized elections which Okinawans could vote for their councilors and mayors. America sought to bring democracy to Okinawa. In the early 1950s, U.S. troops made way for new or expanded military bases. Currently, the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Force is based in Okinawa. Also, the Okinawa Memorial Day is held annually on June 23rd to remember those who had fallen during those 3 months.